Funny man to the end, James Whale drowned himself. It isn't known what he last saw, nor can it be said with certainty that Bette Davis watched his Waterloo Bridge. But at the San Sebastian Film Festival that year, she was deliberate and reflective. She dazzled and defied. She watched the water. She knew she was on her way out. Even a glimpse of 1931's Waterloo Bridge might have provided antidote to the emergent cinema of 1989, a reservoir, or cesspit, as Davis might have had it, to the sea of medium 30 years prior, of water both, but utterly distinct. The prevailing image of Davis in her final days is that of a chain-smoking time traveller, an exhalation locked up in the cavernous luxury of room 451 at San Sebastian's premier port hotel, the Maria Cristina. The Maria Cristina which, since hosting Betty's near last sleep, does booming business with a renamed Bette Davis suite, at the balcony of which a black flag flaps, and where one can stay for €1,565 per night, with a surcharge of €24 for the privilege of breakfast. Outside, white voiles are bellowed by the sea wind as Bette attempts to block out the blank stare of Michael Keaton's Cern Abbas-sized cardboard Batman, an ad tethered to the building facing hers. A costume, not an actor, Bette complained. Aggressive. She might have moved rooms, but by now her assistant Catherine had mapped out the hotel as Panopticon with 451 as its watchtower. Using Polaroid photographs, Catherine produced police procedural-style diagrams for Bette, revealing every corner and crevice, the way down, the number of stairs, entries, exits. Frail as she was, this undertaking was ostensibly to manage her appearances, but I posit another motivation: independence, escape, a slipping out. Officially, Davis left her room just twice, once for a press conference and once to accept the Donostia Award. Though she had been invited under the auspices of Wales Retrospective, because everyone else who had worked with him was dead, and by all accounts the festival never expected she'd accept their invitation, the focus shifted rapidly and wholly to her. A special Lifetime Achievement Award, the Donostia had been dreamt up 3 years prior in 1986. The festival had been on the brink of collapse, and its general secretary was hot for Gregory Peck, so sod it. A breathless invitation was made. "But why should I come?" asked Peck. Donostia? Put on the spot, the general secretary blurted the accolade into creation, using the Basque name for the port city. Thereafter the award stuck, and Davis was enticed by the victory of being the first woman to receive it. Her conditions for attendance were relatively modest. Number 1, travel with stopovers in New York, Paris, and Biarritz. Number 2, no one could tell her when she had to leave the festival. Number 3, a television set in her room. Number 4, $100 per day pocket money. Number 5, an English-speaking driver, whom would carry some 17 pieces of luggage at lowest estimation, 50 at most. Lowell, Massachusetts, 1908, quote, "I happened between a clap of thunder and a streak of lightning. It almost hit the house and destroyed a tree out front. As a child, I fancied the finger of God was directing the attention of the world to me, further and divine proof from the stump of that tree that one should never point." It is notable that rain was Bette Davis's good luck charm, the storm a part of her origin myth. Her arrival in San Sebastian and residency for the festival's duration was a carnival and a storm, marked by the kind of fanfare and adulation she'd once known and still reasonably expected, but often failed to garner, abandoned as she had been by Hollywood's insolent inheritors to senile exploitative TV roles. By the time she was picked up by Lindsay Anderson for the Whales of August in 1987, it was almost too late. At 5'2", she rarely sat, carrying strike-anywhere matches everywhere she went and leaving a plume of smoke behind her. She was highly superstitious and needed a 3-minute egg to get her up in the morning. She was sustained by constant casual bitchiness, criticizing everything with a kind of life-affirming and conquering joy. Old Hollywood had called her the little brown wren to her eternal grump. The Spaniards called her La Lupe, she-wolf. This she liked. As per her second condition of festival attendance, she did stay on after its end, and neither press nor public had a clue. In the days following the end, she went to dinner with the festival staff and city officials, whispering to the mayor, quote, "How incredible San Sebastian looks viewed from Mount Igueldo." Cynics write this off to her third condition, a television set in the hotel room. But when she eventually left for Maria Cristina, via the luggage door, nobody knew about it. Nobody. And so why shouldn't she have visited Igueldo, disguised by the contents of one of her 17 or 50 pieces of luggage? Why shouldn't she have visited the cinema too? Waterloo Bridge had been her moment of make or break. It offered, appropriately enough, a vantage point, not unlike Igueldo, from which to look back on the great unknowable city of life and the glimmer of ocean beyond. Davis's part in Waterloo Bridge is minimal, as the feel-good sister of lead May Clark's love interest. It is a film about the simplicity of what makes life sacred, the fish and chips shared by strangers who are meant to be together and won't be. In the face of war, and in any case, judgment and elitism are a choice, illusions to overcome. For its empathetic portrayal of a woman working the streets, it was banned internationally through the Hays Code of 1934, though many local authorities banned it before it even reached their screens in 1931. Universal Pictures summarily dumped Davis for her efforts on the bridge, the last of 3 movies playing 3 sisters she'd make for the studio. Were it not for the cavalry, George Arliss finally casting her as a love interest in a Warner Brothers picture, The Silent Voice, she was, by her own admission, prepared to abandon the dream of cinema forever. This film marked in earnest the onset of her ascent, credit in no small part to her many collaborations with Michael Curtiz, of whom she said little but likened to the Marquis de Sade. George Cukor, who had given her her first acting job, and according to her, her first ever firing too, she likened to Judas. Clark Gable, quote, "I can't stand a man who has fake store teeth and doesn't keep his uncircumcised clean under the foreskin. I hear he shoots too soon and messes himself all the time. Great lover, great fake." And on the death of her arch-rival Joan Crawford, newspapers reported her comment thus: "You should never say bad things about the dead, only good. Joan Crawford is dead? Good." When Waterloo Bridge was remade in 1940, a shift in the protagonist's class was inferred. May Clark's chorus girl became Vivien Leigh's ballerina, and the production's judgment for this woman turning to sex work? Suicide. In Wales' version, loyal to Robert E. Sherwood's stage original and based on his own experiences in World War I, she is killed in a German air raid. Staring out over the Bay of Biscay, Davis finished her expanded autobiography titled The Lonely Life. She ends it with a riff in her final lines in Now Voyager, her famed forbidden love story. Quote, "Why ask for the moon when we have the stars?" 3 days later, up she went.